Cross burst is, as you might guess, this game's burst. It's doable in block stun or hit stun by pressing P and D, costing you 100% of your cross gauge and giving you a knockdown. Now, this mechanic has a shocking amount of nuance to both its application and the defense against it. We can't cover all of it today, but I'm going to give you some practical guidelines on it. Firstly, it's reactable. This is obviously a huge deal. If you're doing it versus a grounded opponent, for the most part, they can just use the invulnerability on a reversal action to go straight through. Now, it's not that clear cut. What you're doing when you try this is actually cancelling the normal into the reversal action. There are dead zones in Gatlings where one button is recovering or the other is starting up, where you cannot input this DP, and the opponent will just hit you. This is particularly evident in slower strings where there are big gaps between moves. There are some option selects to help curtail this slightly, but it's kind of specific, so I won't be covering it here. There is a link in the description, however, that should help you if you're looking to explore this further. In the air, it's the same deal. You can reverse your action straight through, but not all characters have access. If you know the opponent doesn't have an air reversal, you've got a pretty great opportunity to burst. If you're willing to make more of a read, you can actually jump cancel out of a lot of normals. Now, this has much more reward than the reversal action, as you can land after air blocking the burst, and this will actually give you a full counter hit combo. However, due to the pre-jump frames, this is a lot harder. At least with your reversal, you can use the frame 1 invincibility, combined with the fact that you don't actually have to input any specific direction to plow straight through the burst. It's not impossible on reaction, but you have to be really looking for it and ready to convert. There needs to be some thought process to your burst. Don't just do it randomly. Similar to Guilty Gear, if you get too predictable, people will punish you and you will lose. If you're a beginner, there's a simple consideration to bursting that you need to implement. If you burst earlier, you're taking less damage, but in most cases, they'll have a lot more options to actually deal with the burst, adding some risk. Later in the combo, you've taken damage, but they have way less ways to bait you. This is due to things like spending assists, being in the air and not having a double jump. It sounds counterintuitive to take the damage, but just resetting pressure is a really worthwhile thing to do. Where you have access to burst multiple times in one match, you're going to start seeing a lot of mind games around them and a lot of character specific burst timings that you'll need to know, and you'll get this from your experience just playing the game and seeing what moves actually work when you burst them. Lastly, there are things in this game that lock you out of accessing burst. Throws and supers are the obvious ones because they trigger an animation, a punish reversal action as well, and finally being hit by someone in Resonance Blaze. You'll need to be aware of these states, because in some situations you'll not even want to deal with the opponent potentially bursting you and just guarantee that damage. And that's it for cross burst. Hopefully this was helpful to some of you. It's a mechanic you're going to have to get very familiar with because you're going to be seeing it a lot.